At time of recording, it is January 2nd, about 1 o'clock of 2026. Um, I've been a little bit, this is another like video update, another vlog-ish type thing. But I wanted to come on here and talk about um, something that's been going on with me for a while, right? So, 2025, I think a lot of people agree we want to leave 2025 in the past. you know, it's kind of a shit year, but I personally think that 2026 isn't going to be much different. I'm not trying to say that from a nihilistic perspective. I just think that realistically, we've been kind of living in this time loop of reliving the same year pretty much since 2020. And for some people, since 2014, 2016, maybe even 2012. Um, we've seen consistent loops of behavioral patterns. And it's kind of hard to think that 2026 will be much different. So for me, it's like I don't want to make resolutions because they never pan out. It's just you got to kind of nail down your behavior so that way it doesn't become a trend, right? It doesn't become a oh, I'm only doing a New Year's resolution because it's trendy, and then I'm gonna forget about it by February, right? But I learned some things this past year. I learned a lot. I went out and I started the year off by almost getting into a beef with somebody I didn't even really know, just a complete stranger to me, um, who eventually I became pretty cool with. Um, then I started doing these shows, and I started getting myself out there as an artist, and was seeing the goodwill and the faith coming from people who were listening to my music and saying, "Oh man, you're really good." And the downside of that, as great as it was to capitalize on my album, my first album, Culture War, and do the Culture War tour, as I call it, doing all these shows, I found it, you know, that was the space for me. I belong on a stage. I belong in this artist sphere, creating memorable things for people to enjoy. Um, which a part of it takes away from my job as a content creator, and that is something that I can kind of say has kept me distracted from making more content, is because I consume more media, and I consume music and movies and comic books and whatever, but I've become less and less interested in making reviews and complaining and ranting about the things that I watch or the cultural moments. As much as it is, I still enjoy it, obviously, but I become less interested in it because I'm trying to solve the problem. I'm trying to create more content and more media, trying to become the solution instead of arguing and complaining about the problem, right? I've gotten to that point, and for the past 2 years, I was working on this science fiction fantasy novel saga that I personally was like, I want to create something that people will enjoy. I want to create something like a Star Wars or Marvel or DC, right? I want to contribute to create something beautiful that people can relate to and people can find joy in. And on December 31st at 11:59 p.m. of 2025, I finished the first outline for the first book in that saga. Now, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's a ton of work to be done for me. But the fact that I managed to get 30 chapters of an outline with characterization, a little bit of dialogue, and a full blown story, storyboarded and written, is a massive step forward for me. And now it's on to the next one. It's creating the saga. It's formulating this world building, and it's a beautiful thing to experience. And it's been so relieving and therapeutic, something that turning on a camera and ranting just can't do, right? And that's part of the reason why, like, I kind of, disappear after a while. I know that it kills my algorithm and it hurts me a lot, but it's something that, aside from my schedule of trying to make money and trying to survive and trying to go to school and, all of that and build up my skills, being an artist is the secondary thing that takes up most of my time. And it's, I promise you all who support me, who watch my channel, who listen to my music, that I am trying to cultivate and create art that you can appreciate, that you can enjoy, so that my time away from the camera, that my time away from YouTube can be worth something in the long run, right? And that doesn't mean that I'm going to quit YouTube. I'm not going to quit. I just think that every time I come out with one of these updates, it's, I got to tell people I'll be back. I'll make more content. And another thing, aside from that, things that I've learned in 2025, and it's something that I predicted before. I predicted it way back in like 2023, and whenever I wrote and released Killer Instinct, right? I predicted that eventually everybody was going to turn on me. Eventually, anybody and everybody. It is the cost of being influenced, like, of being somebody, quote unquote, famous. I don't think I'm ever going to be famous per se, but like having influence and having a sense or semblance of influence over other people's lives, how you inspire them or lift them up in some way. You run the risk of becoming a target for the wrong people or even people who change to become your enemies. And I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand this year. Whenever people would hit me up and be like, "Oh man, your performance was great. Your music is fire, bro." And then they get on Instagram and they see the things that I post on Instagram. They see my personality. They don't know me when they meet me. They don't know me when they say my music is fire. And then they meet me and then they get to know me. And then they unfollow me. And that's snakery. To me, that's snakery. And a lot of the time, it's other artists that are like, "Hey man, I want to follow you. You can follow me back." And then they unfollow me, keeping my follow. And it's like, fuck you, dude. Like, you don't deserve my support if you're not going to support me in kind, right? And so recently, I started completely wiping and cleaning my algorithm on Instagram. I damn near just quit Twitter, but I'll go back to Twitter, don't you worry. And Dirty D Sanchez is something that's going to be a video for another time. Creating Dirty D Sanchez is basically my coping mechanism for a lot of the backstabbing and betrayals that I've seen firsthand. And it's a humorous way that I can kind of cope with it. Now, as for Instagram, I went on an unfollowing, a mass unfollowing, because I was following about 1,500 people. A lot of those people, like, don't even know me, don't know that I exist, don't remember who I am. There were people from high school that never followed me back, people that never liked me. It was celebrities that I don't give a shit about, right? It was news sites and like IGN and Breitbart and like, Ben Shapiro. Like, it was all shit that I was following 10 years ago or something, right? Real Rejects. Like, it was a bunch of people that, to me, have changed, have become basically enemies. If I had no other way to describe them, enemies. And so I unfollowed them. I cut my 1,500 following people down to about 800 or so. I unfollowed artists that weren't following me back. I unfollowed artists that were following me that I wasn't fucking with. That I was just like, no, fuck you, dude. Not only is your music shit, but you've treated me like trash. And so I don't care if you're following me. I don't want to support you. I unfollowed family members who I want to protect or who I believe that, I don't want to push them away necessarily, but it was something that I felt was hard to do, and that was something because uh, I want to protect my family, and I want to, you know, keep that sacred. I don't want to. I don't want to become a fucking tabloid person, right? A tabloid celebrity. My private life is not for people to pry into, right? So I just didn't want to, you know, give credence to that. But at the same time, uh, you know, there were people. So when we let's take a step back and go back to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. There were people, including people in my family, and people that I love dearly, who were openly mocking and downplaying and uh, trying to make Charlie Kirk's death seem like it was either deserved or didn't matter. And I was like, anybody like that, family, friends, supporters, I don't want to be supporting. I don't want to be around because if they think that terribly of somebody as white bread and like freaking what's it called? Uh, he's a what's the word that I'm looking for? Not a normie. He's a moderate. Charlie Kirk was a moderate. Like he's not even that extreme. You know, same thing with like Donald Trump. Moderates and people hate their guts, right? And I'm just like, if you think that much about a moderate, then what do you think about people like even less so than that, who are not moderates, who are either far extremists or not moderate enough, or like, you know what I mean? Uh, I just didn't want to support anybody who thinks that that was okay, you know. And I started to realize the cycle of insanity that is social media, the controlled opposition, the algorithm control, the slave minded porn brain shit that social media and politics has become. And so I decided to just check out. I unfollowed everything that was making me toxic, everything that I would be reacting to. I was making more content for Instagram that was pushing away people that were following me than I was for YouTube that might have been gaining followers, gaining traction. And so I decided to unfollow all of those, people or influencers or news sites or meme posters that I believed would incite a reaction from me. And I would rather save my thoughts for YouTube, for you guys, for this. That way, I don't have to turn people down. Now, as for Dirty D Sanchez, it's a different story. But my raw thoughts will forever be here. And I don't care who hears it. I don't care how it's, gets interpreted. Because I will make a video and I will be able to speak my mind and you will be able to see me talk in person. And you'll be able to understand based off of the way that I speak to you. I don't edit my videos, so I'm not like trying to tamper anything. You get my raw thoughts right here in a rant, you know? But it really does break my heart seeing where we are as a culture. And I have a lot of thoughts about it. And I will save it for videos in the future. You know, I'm not a guru. I'm not somebody who gives out life advice or dating advice. Like, I'm not a red pill influencer. Um, I'm not somebody who's, you can disagree with me. That's fine. It's just me ranting on camera. It's for my own mental health more than anything, really. And if you take it, take it to heart and you really enjoy my content, then that means the world to me. It just makes me feel better that somebody out there is listening and somebody enjoys. And so, aside from that, I put in the work as an artist to hopefully maybe turn my art into something else that people can enjoy. Maybe my my career choices are just one giant call for attention. But either way, I do it because I enjoy it. And I learned a lot this year. Stuff that I didn't think I would have to learn or relearn. But 2026 is just got to keep on chugging. I have 2 albums planned. Um, we're going to see how it plays out. I say planned because last year I had a family member who got really intensely sick, and it affected my school schedule, and it became a responsibility I had to handle. And so you never know what's going to happen. But I just want to say thank you all for the support. I want to say thank you for coming with me on this ride, and I hope you stick around because it's going to be a long ride. So enjoy your loved ones, enjoy your holidays, and yeah, just wanted to come on here and talk with y'all, be a little bit more personal, versus just one of my usual rants. So thank you, everybody. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but um, we're still going to have fun. No matter what happens, we're going to be here. So thank you all, and Happy New Year.